Posjetite dolinu Bosanskih piramida, najuzbudljiviji projekat na svijetu.
Poziv svima da dođu u Visoko, bilo kao turisti, istraživači, volonteri.
Više informacija na www.piramidasunca.ba.
Good morning, I'm opening the press conference of the 4th International Scientific Conference on Bosnian Pyramids. This year we have 23 speakers from 10 countries, from Canada, US, UK, New Zealand, Austria, Germany, Holland, Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia, Serbia. We have speakers from different scientific disciplines, archaeologists, geophysicists, physicists, electrical engineers, experts in energy phenomena, Egyptologists, but also people who work in spiritual science. From day one, we have started this project as interdisciplinary scientific project. We don't rely only on knowledge from the archaeology, but also from other disciplines. Plus, we are adding spiritual science. As you will hear today, we have been getting a lot of interesting information that confirm that we indeed have the oldest pyramidal complex on the planet, here in the Central Balkan. I'm very happy to see hundreds of guests from 15 countries, from 4 continents. The Foundation will continue to have this project as open and as a combination of the research, volunteers, guests, tourism, and outdoors will always be open for media. During our conference, 5 documentary movies were filmed, and I'm very proud to know that all we said here today and the previous few days will find its way to the people who are interested in ancient civilizations, but also in phenomena that have potential to change our future for better. You will hear some of my colleagues today who came to Bosnia, some of them for the first time, some of them for third or fourth. The first speaker I'd like to introduce today is coming from the US, and he's here for the first time. He is double PhD from University of California and Minnesota. He's been working in ancient mysteries, ancient civilizations, cultures, indigenous tribes for decades now. He's famous for his research in Egypt and Mexico, but also with his wife, he's been traveling all around the world. He's here for the first time now. And frankly, today I'm going to hear his impressions for the first time, even though he's been with us for 5 or 6 days. Ladies and gentlemen, J.J. Hrtak, professor, gentleman who established an institute for to research the culture, to research the ancient civilizations.
Thank you, Dr. Sam. It's a great privilege to be here with my wife, Dr. Desiree Hrtak, also with colleagues that I've seen in other parts of the world looking at the phenomena of pyramid cultures and societies. By training, I have a background in the social sciences, as well as Egyptology, as well as remote sensing technology, the use of radar to look at distant objects. And what I see here is nothing that is unusual, given the fact that we are finding numerous pyramid societies throughout the world. But what I find of great importance here is the unusual configuration of megalithic sites and the coming together of engineers, scientists, and academics of many disciplines who are looking at the puzzle of an evolutionary nexus point here in the Balkans. We're looking at something more than a sociological phenomenon. We're looking here at the pyramid as being redefined as a model for holistic intelligent design, bringing together several different levels of meaning: the sociological, psychological, philosophical, astrophysical, as well as the cosmophysical. It is in the combination of the larger picture that I appeal to my scientific colleagues throughout the world to come and investigate for themselves and see the Bosnian nexus is something that is of major significance, not to be dismissed according to classical Egyptology, but a barometer of engineering and social movements that we find throughout the world. They will open the back door to a previous evolutionary age, when cultures throughout the world shared a common language of mathematics, architecture, and astrophysics. Dr. Sam is doing a fantastic job of bringing volunteers from all over the world who are willing to break the scientific paradigm and to point out that Egypt doesn't have a monopoly on pyramids or pyramid philosophy. And though my colleagues from the discipline of Egyptology would see the Bosnian pyramid as simply a result of terraforming, my wife and I are looking at the basement complex of what is under the ground that is very significant. A mazeway of labyrinthian tunnels that are sustained by human engineering, suggesting that there was significant thought given to the direction as well as the structure of underground labyrinthian tunnels. Work is necessary to confirm whether we have an artificial geopolymer reality. I feel more work must be done in this area of investigation. But it's clear that we have a clear example of what is called telluric currents inside the Bosnian Sun Pyramid, currents that are on the surface of the Earth's mantle, that may be the triggering mechanism for what has been observed as the 28 kilohertz signal that has been measured. And so, with great happiness, again, I greet my colleagues who will have the opportunity to come and see for themselves and experience what we had just this past day with the intense acoustical energy patterns that we felt under the ground. For clearly the science of pyramidology has to be redefined as showing a holistic pattern of culture history that stretches around Mother Earth.
For the first time in Visoko is a researcher from Canada, and her series, The Pyramid Power, during 1990s, were a major step in better understanding of the pyramids, especially Egyptian pyramids. And thanks to her and the series of independent scholars who have been coming to Egypt, we now view those and all other pyramids in different lights. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Carmen Bolter.
Thank you, Dr. Sam. So I'm writer, producer, and director of The Pyramid Code that came out in 2009, and it's aired on national TV in 36 countries, and it's been shown in over 50 countries. I've gone to 54 countries in search of clues to matriarchal cultures. My book is called Angels and Archetypes, an evolutionary map of feminine consciousness. And my PhD is in linguistics, though I've studied in many other domains as well. Recently, I've done some quantitative empirical research, longitudinal study in the Great Pyramid, looking at the effects on consciousness fields in humans. Coming here to Bosnia, looking at the artifacts, seeing things that they've discovered this week, as well as things that they've discovered in the last 8 years, is indicating to me that there are many, many similarities to the energy fields inside the pyramids in Egypt. But more importantly, I think, it's tracing back to matriarchal cultures that are at least 30,000 years old. On initial glancing at the lab and the artifacts that Timothy Moon had displayed, I saw a tremendous similarity with artifacts that have been found in South Africa. Looking at the megalithic stones inside the labyrinth, I saw something that was quite extraordinary in that it linked to the cow stone from Nabta Playa, which is one of the most ancient sites in Egypt. That is now, there's no way to get this, it's very rare to get there. These show deep connections also to Malta, the temples in Malta, that the late Maria Gimbutas had absolute links to 30,000 years ago, and they're known to be, in traditional archaeology, the oldest temples on the planet. So for me personally, I feel that there's a huge convergence of all of these disparagant disciplines and places on the planet here in Bosnia. Thank you.
Hvala lijepo. Now, a friend, a supporter, but above all, the guy who's been very popular all over the planet with his artifacts, which are out of place, maybe out of time, and they don't fit what is accepted by the mainstream science. Our friend from Vienna, Klaus Dona.
When I was invited by Professor Osmanagic 2 years ago to the first conference, for me the first conference in Bosnia, a friend of mine did a scan over the Sun Pyramid, and for me definitely there is no doubt about that the Sun Pyramid is definitely a pyramid. In the last 2 years I was several times in South Africa and I was able to see many of the stone circles and also artifacts together with a famous researcher, Michael Tellinger. I was very much surprised this time when I saw the archaeological artifacts which were found in the last few months, and I have to congratulate to the archaeologist Timothy for his great work, and I could see many pieces which have a great similarity with South African very ancient artifacts. And I was most surprised when I saw some artifacts with unknown writings or unknown symbols, because when I prepared my speech for this evening, I selected many stones from all over the world with unknown writing, unknown symbols, and I could see yesterday that there are also a lot of similarities, which is most interesting for me for further researches. And all these pieces for me are a kind of puzzle to find one day a final solution that even the official science cannot refuse to accept the Bosnian pyramids as what they are, pyramids, and their history goes far back behind our known time, I think so. I wish the whole team for the next years big success. Thank you.
The gentleman who's been with us for the second time is coming from Germany. He's also PhD, also become a good friend. He has a multidisciplinary approach to the science and all the phenomena that he can see and observe. Dr. Ernest Baumann from Germany.
Science lives on the trend to know more and more details of whatever subject. That leads to specialization, which in the end means the specialist knows more and more about less and less. And then there are people who see the danger in this approach, and they start to generalize again, and they know again less and less about more and more. It's another danger in science. And each who is specialist or generalist in his field tends to fix his opinion rather dogmatically. That is the present danger for this whole institution here of the Bosnian pyramids. The way out is to see more and more again who is the researcher, what is the basis of his research. And the basis is his own consciousness. Consciousness is that field which has all the knowledge, which is silent, unchanging, eternal, with all potentialities. Unfortunately, scientists these days, and I don't want to be unpolite to any colleagues, but I think we have to face the fact that they all have lost that aspect of their own consciousness in themselves. A researcher always asks, what is this artifact, what is that artifact, what's the pyramid, what's this? But he never asked, who am I? And without that question and the answer, all his research somehow hangs in the air. So I always emphasize that point of the development of your own consciousness to understand from the depth all the different approaches that science can take. In principle, and fortunately, Dr. Sam has the same approach of interdisciplinary connecting science, but the aspect of the researcher who's asking, who am I, is not available yet. I think it's only a question of time that it will be included, because the outer research will be not meaningful enough if the inner research of who is the researcher will not be there. And again, the research can then be used in ways which are destructive rather than constructive, as it has happened in human history so many times. So if Dr. Hotak just mentioned the common language of the ancestors was astronomy, astrophysics,
Mathematics.
all these things, then I would say the common language of our ancestors was with equal validity pure consciousness. The moment we can unite these two levels, we'll be invincibly successful. And I'm convinced that this approach here in the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids, under the guidance of Dr. Osmanagic, will go in that direction.
Good morning. My name is Arthur Ferrum from the Ferrum Research Foundation in Dallas, Texas. Can you tell? I'd like to thank Dr. Osmanagic for inviting me. This will be the first major presentation that I've made. I've made several minor presentations at other conferences. My presentation will be about an ancient science. This will be the first time you've heard about it, called geoglyphology. I discovered this while doing another project about 5 years ago, and I've been working on it ever since, and it has become obvious that civilization has been in communication and traveled the oceans for. Geoglyphology measures symbols and pyramids that are on the ground, therefore the name geoglyphology, geo, earth, and glyph, symbols. On the pyramids, most of the pyramids have the same protocols that were developed by the ancients, in that most of them were designed as territorial markers or survey markers. And the survey is determined by following the edges of the pyramid or other angles associated with the pyramids. And these lines lead to destinations that end at places using the protocols that were developed by the ancients. I had to learn these protocols through trial and error in order to develop how they knew where to terminate these lines. My background is as a computer analyst with the government, and I developed the first comprehensive background check in a company in the United States. eHarmony, if you know of that, is a spin-off of that. As in closing, I'd like to say I'm humbled by all the talent that is here, not only at the dais, but in the audience. I've learned a lot from everyone here, and it's been probably more beneficial to me than it will be to you. Thank you.
Dobro dan, tēnā koutou katoa. As Samir said, I am from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I'm very pleased to be here. Today I'm going to discuss with you a press release. We're going to release information to the world today on some of our discoveries this year. This year's archaeological program has unearthed findings that may encourage the world to reconsider its understanding of the development of civilization. Accepted theory states that civilization occurred approximately 9,000 years ago. We've undertaken a number of carbon dating tests this year, and today I'm issuing to the worldwide press the dates that we have. In June this year, we obtained a piece of organic material from beneath the concrete on the Pyramid of the Sun. And the date that has come back from our laboratory in Kiev, Ukraine, is 29,200 years. Now, the dates we are getting back are completely consistent to our expectations. We are working at a horizon in knowledge. We know we have a structure from the time before the Ice Age, when Homo sapiens sapien was supposed to be archaic hunter-gatherers. Our discoveries turn this thinking upside down and will require a re-examination of human history. This is an unknown culture presenting sophisticated, highly developed arts and sciences, technology capable of forming truly massive structures. And we believe in that process, demonstrating an ability to harness pure energy resources. The C14 date of 29,000 years was obtained from a piece of organic material retrieved from clay directly inside the pyramid. It follows a sample date obtained during the 2012 dig season of material above the concrete at 24,800 years. This means the structure has a construction profile back almost 30,000 years. The archaeological project has also delivered some other significant findings. In association with the pyramid, we have a tunnel complex. Deep within this complex, we have found a megalithic stone weighing an estimated 25,000 kilograms. Here we have a massive stone, possibly constructed ceramic, buried under hundreds of thousands of tons of material. We are locating foundation walls around its perimeter, cut stone blocks, and artifacts suggesting sun worship. All of this combined tells us people were here. What is perplexing to us, in addition to the buried location, is we have received another carbon date within meters of the structure, and that is providing us a date of a minimum of 20,100 years. That places this culture before megalithic culture and positioning the cultural layer close to the parameters we have for construction of these pyramids. We've retrieved large quantities of artifacts, including effigies painted on stone, art objects, and glyphs. So to summarize, we appear to have found a very distant lost culture from the time before the Ice Age. And the questions we are left with: have we found the pyramid builders? It will take another 6 months to analyse the materials that we've recovered, but we're very confident in issuing this press release today.
If not, I thank you for coming. The press conference is over. 5 minutes from now, we're going to start with our regular conference. Thank you very much.